Hello and welcome to Betfred Football Show. Paul Robinson is alongside me. Let's just start with Man City. They were fantastic against Real Madrid midweek, weren't they?
They were so good, weren't they? They've been fantastic all season, and they are bang on for the treble now. I mean, you look at what they've done in the league. Yes, we always said that Arsenal's bubble had burst at some point, but they did, like we said, and I hoped they bottled it in the end. 8 points clear beginning of April. They put 4 past Leeds, went 8 points clear at the top of the league. No other focuses, just the league. Yet the City juggernaut has continued. And I mean, where they're sitting now at the top of the league, you can't see them not winning the league. The Champions League final, the FA Cup final, there's a real opportunity for the treble. There really is. I mean, the first time for a long time. But the squad that they've got, the players they've got, they're just a good watch, aren't they? I mean, even if you're not a Man City fan, obviously if you're a Man United fan or you're an Arsenal fan, you don't enjoy watching them. But I just loved watching them play against Real Madrid. They were outstanding.
They certainly were. And they're short as 4-6 now for the treble. So they're 1 to 1,000 to win the Premier League. Fred's already paid out. Look, they're going to win the Premier League now. But 4-6 for the treble. That's the FA Cup final and the Champions League final against Inter Milan. Can Manchester United stop them doing the treble? Let's just talk Arsenal very quickly. Have they blown it? Or has this been a very good City side?
Listen, if you offered Arsenal second place, you know, Champions League football at the start of the season and a title run, they'd have taken it, absolutely, they'd have taken it from where they were, from what Mikel Arteta's done with that side. They've come on no end. I think there are a couple of players short. Everyone says about Arsenal being short in squad depth, but Manchester City have used the fewest players in the league. So that's an argument that kind of falls back on itself. I think I've been really impressed with Arsenal, watching from a distance. Yes, I think they had their opportunity this year, and I think they've thrown it away with results and performances against Southampton, against West Ham, teams and games that you would expect them to win, and they struggled towards the end of the season. You know, their record of wins in the last few games, it's not what they would expect, and yeah, they had the opportunity to win it, and like I said to you, now I'm looking at the league. Man City, they're going to go again next year. Newcastle are coming. Man United are now coming back. Chelsea won't be as bad next year. Liverpool won't be as bad next year. I daren't throw Tottenham into that mix because you don't know what you're going to get. But I think if Arsenal were to win it, this has been their best chance for a number of years.
So a missed opportunity for Arsenal?
Huge missed opportunity. Because when you put those teams back into the mix of title contenders again, you know, Chelsea aren't going to be this bad. I'm not saying they're going to challenge for the title next year, but last year, I remember sitting here making them title favourites when Lukaku was there, and you know, the quality that they had. Liverpool will be back. Liverpool won't have as poor season as they did before. And I just think that for Arsenal next year, the main aim for me is getting in the top 4. I think it'd be a real big ask for them to get in the top 4 next year. But they are going to strengthen. If they sign players, the manager's backed. Listen, if they get a player like Declan Rice's quality, which is muted about at the moment, if Declan Rice goes to Arsenal, they can go on another level. But they need those reinforcements and they need to buy at the top table to continue where they are.
Arteta has said that Man City are probably the best team in the history of the Premier League.
That's a big statement when you look at Man United of old. Yeah. You know, immediately Manchester United come to mind under the Ferguson era, the trophies that they won, the treble that they won, you know, the European trophies that they've won. I think Manchester City have the potential to be. Listen, quality-wise, when you watch them, they might be. But actually, what they've won and what's on the table compared to that United era, not yet, but they're certainly going to push them very close.
Yes, Man United did a treble in 1999, of course. Can Man City do it this year? The 4-6 to win the treble. Right, let's go through some games. 12:30 Saturday, Spurs versus Brentford. Just one of the last 6. Just won one of the last 6 Spurs.
They're a rudderless ship at the moment, aren't they? I mean, they're not a good watch again this season. Temporary manager yet again in charge. The uncertainty of the manager. With Conte, then Stellini, now Ryan Mason. Just don't get the whole. If you're going to sack Conte, don't put Stellini as assistant in charge. But we didn't see any change. You know, he sacked Conte and his assistant just completely played the same way with the same personnel. And when he did try and change it to a back 4, they got the floor wiped with them at Newcastle. So Spurs are a rudderless ship. They need a manager. They need a manager quick. They need some direction. They need an identity. We talk about identity, style of play. But they're crying out for it. They desperately need it. As far as Tottenham against Brentford, you just don't know what Tottenham team's going to turn up at home. Last game of the season at home, you'd like to think that they're going to put on a performance. But Brentford have been outstanding this year, haven't they? Yeah. And Thomas Frank going there, one of the potential suitors. He's muted as a potential Tottenham manager, so he's going to want to get a performance out of his team. By the way, Brentford guaranteed top 10 for the first time since I think 1980-something. Unbelievable achievement for them.
So your Spurs hat on, you want to see an appointment quickly? and new signings done quickly for Spurs?
Listen, I think one of the most important things is Harry Kane's future. That's got to be sorted out, because we've sat here so many times. You take his goals out of that team, you worry where Tottenham would be. That has to be sorted out. The managerial situation has to be sorted out. I would have liked the managerial situation to be sorted out when they sacked Antonio Conte. If you know a manager that you want, go and get him. You know, we've known that Pochettino's been out there. We've known that Nagelsmann's been out there. We've known that there's been other managers, but yet everyone seems to be hands off. Tottenham, we're not doing business. We're not going to take the role. We're not going to get a manager. Whether they're waiting for a manager that's still in a job, we don't know. But I'd just like to see a definitive decision and a direction made. Harry Kane, managerial appointment, hugely important. Lack of quality in the squad needs addressing. So the sooner the manager comes in, the better.
Harry Kane has scored 9 goals for Tottenham in Premier League games against London sides. Come on, score prediction then for Tottenham Brentford.
Honestly,
can you predict Spurs?
Honestly, I can't predict Spurs, but there's one thing you can predict with Brentford. But we know that they're not going to have Ivan Toney. That's the thing, you know, with his suspension. So that's going to be a huge miss for them. But they didn't have him last weekend. Scored goals without him. So I still think Brentford can go to Spurs. I think they can score. But Spurs will score. So I'm literally going to sit on the fence because I have no idea what Spurs are going to do. And I'm going to go for a Desmond. 2-2.
Right. 3 o'clock, Bournemouth versus Manchester United. Obviously, Manchester United not been great away from home. They won 16 points from their 9 Premier League away games between August and December. That was the second best in the division. However, in 2023, they've won just 8 points from 9 on the road. And obviously they've had a couple of defeats of late on the road as well, which have slipped up. It should be home and hose for the top 4, shouldn't they?
Yeah, they should have been. They should have been a while ago. And I think that's one Achilles heel that they've still got. Ten Hag's taken all the plaudits this year, and rightly so. From where Manchester United were this time last year to where they are now, he's done an incredible job. But there's still a soft underbelly in that side. You know, they got beat at the start of the season against Brentford, but then they put in performances like the away performance in Seville, the performance at Anfield. There's still a soft underbelly away from home, and when you get the feeling when one goes in, there's more coming against Manchester United. And I think that's one thing that you can label some criticism at them this year. Going to Bournemouth, I mean, Gary O'Neill's been an unbelievable manager for them. I questioned when they gave him the job. When they gave him the job, they're in the bottom 3, and he saved them from relegation with 3 games to spare.
Yeah, the 14th, 39 points.
I said to you this morning, I can't believe how he's not manager of the season, but I can't believe he's not even made the shortlist for what he's done there. It's going to be a tough ask for United going there, but I think the importance now, they've got focus, they've got the FA Cup final to look forward to, but the focus that they need to get that Champions League, listen, Newcastle aren't going anywhere. Newcastle need to win 1 more game. They're at home to Leicester on Monday.
Yeah.
That's a given.
Manchester United to win 2 of their 3 games to guarantee Champions League football.
I think United will win, and especially with Liverpool hot on the heels. Liverpool have played one more game than them. Bournemouth, for want of a better phrase, will be at the beach in Bournemouth, and I'm going to go for a United win. I think United will go there. I think the importance is a clean sheet, and I think they'll keep Bournemouth out, and I think they'll win 2-0 in a very professional performance.
2-0 Manchester
2-0.
United. It was 1-0 Bournemouth last season, so Manchester United haven't won in 4 on the road now. It's drawing 1, losing 3. So I've been disappointed away from home since Christmas of Manchester United, but Paul Robson's going for 3 points for Manchester United. Right, 3 o'clock, Fulham versus Crystal Palace. This is now actually 10th versus 12th.
Possibly the most unattractive fixture on the calendar this weekend, isn't it? Apart from Fulham and Crystal Palace fans, apologies. But I think it's the most unattractive fixture of the Premier League weekend. But I mean, they've both had really good seasons since Roy Hodgson's gone in Palace. Before that, Palace were a real poor watch, struggling to score goals. Yeah. And everyone says, oh, Roy Hodgson's going to go in, he's going to shore up the defence, they're going to keep tight and they'll just get over the line. This Roy Hodgson's gone
5 out of 8.
And the goals that they're scoring, he's opened them up. They've been expansive, they've been scoring goals. And from the turn there, when Hodgson's come in, they've been a great watch. You can almost guarantee a goal when you watch Palace. Fulham have fallen away a little bit. They've missed Mitrovic for when he had his ban. He's back now, back among the goals. He'll be a big player for them. But it's a game that kind of means nothing to either, really. Palace, they're both floating mid-table, and I can't really see this one been that an attractive fixture. It's a definite low scorer. It's, if you like your under and overs, it's a definite under 1.5 or under 2 goals. I've gone for an I put boring 0-0. That's how I see it. It's one of them games, if it was in my back garden, I wouldn't open the curtains.
Last on match of the day. Right, 3 o'clock, Liverpool versus Aston Villa. Well, Liverpool, what a run. 7 straight Premier League games. So look like they're going to miss out on European football. They're definitely going to have Europa League football. Still a chance of Champions League football, although it's out of their hands, of course.
Yeah, they're relying on other results for Champions League football. But I mean, this run that they've gone on, I think we were all expecting to see that earlier on in the season, weren't we? We were all expecting Liverpool to kick into gear. They've got results without playing well, Mark. I watched them a couple of times. I've been to Anfield. I watched the Brentford game, struggled past them. Well, not struggled past them, but didn't play as well as the manager probably would have wanted them to. Beat Fulham at home 1-0, where Fulham had probably the lion's share of the possession, had the better of the game. Alisson was outstanding that night. And then I go and watch them at Leicester this weekend, and they were brilliant. I mean, Leicester were poor, but Liverpool were excellent, and they look like a team where he's getting his players back. Diaz has settled. Núñez is coming back into it. Salah's back among the goals. The 3 assists that Salah had against Leicester were excellent. And this is the Liverpool that we expected to see at the start of the season. It's taken a long while to get there. They've ground out results and got points. Listen, Jurgen Klopp himself asked me 6 weeks ago, I didn't even think we could get a European place, never mind a possibility of a Champions League. So they've got a real opportunity of Liverpool, and I've been impressed with the run that they've put together at this stage in the season. Scoreline? Listen, it's not going to be easy. Villa have been excellent. Unai Emery again. Yeah. He's on the shortlist for manager of the season, and rightly so. I think he gets overlooked, I think, a lot in the media because of
16th.
Yeah, where he took over. I think they were 1 point clear of
the
the drop. I think his media presence isn't the same as Pep, isn't the same as Klopp. And I think that's possibly why he's overlooked. But as a coach and what he does on the training ground, the identity that he's given this Villa side. I looked at the Villa squad the other week. Outside the starting 11, they've probably got 3 or 4 the direct replacements. That squad is so light with the players. What he's done it and achieved it with has been outstanding. Give him a window, give him a budget, and I think Villa will be there or thereabouts next year. They'll go to Anfield, they'll be very well organised, hard to break down, disciplined. But I think Liverpool will edge it the run they're on. I'll go for 2-1 for Liverpool.
Right, next 3 games, key in the relegation battle, starting with Wolves versus Everton. So, Everton, Wolves away, Bournemouth at home, their remaining 2 fixtures. Leicester, Newcastle away, West Ham at home. Leeds, which we'll talk about in a moment, West Ham away, Spurs at home. Forest, Arsenal at home, Palace away. So we know Southampton are down. So Leicester 1-7 to join them. Leeds 4-11. Forest 9-4, Everton 3-1, and West Ham 500-1. So basically, it's 2 from 4 to join Southampton. Right, Wolves, Everton. How do you see this one?
This is a game I'm at the weekend. I'm looking forward to this. Wolves with Lopetegui got themselves out of it. They've got 13th. They're going to finish mid-table, clear on the 40 points. Then they're nowhere near relegation. So you just wonder what Wolves side are going to turn up mentality. But at Molineux, they're a tough outfit. But Sean Dyche's Everton seem to have turned a corner. I mean, who saw that result come in last week against Brighton? Putting 5 past Brighton at Brighton. I mean, that's a coupon buster for anybody. I mean, I reckon that ruined a few hackers, that game. But I think they can get out of it, Everton. I really do. I think looking at their fixtures, they've got Wolves away now, and then they've got Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth we know are already safe. Out of the whole bottom 4, those fixtures you've just read out, Everton, for me, have got the most favourable fixtures. Regardless of what happens this weekend, it's not going to be over. We're going into the last game of the season. There's going to be squeaky bum time for at least 2 of the 3 teams on the last day of the season. But I can see Everton going to Wolves and getting something. I can see them winning. I've gone for Sean Dyche will want a clean sheet. They've leaked too many goals with Everton of late. I think they'll go 2-0. I think they'll go to Wolves putting a real workmanlike performance, and I'm giving them a 2-0 win.
2-0 Everton is the prediction. And as Paul's just said, and I've got Bournemouth at home. It does look the easiest run in on paper. Right, then at 5:30, Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal. They had 4 straight defeats, Forest. Now there's 7 points from the last 12. Won the last 2 home games. Can Forest get anything at home against Arsenal?
I think they can. I really do. I think you saw the Arsenal bubble burst against Brighton, and you just see how they're deflated. Listen, they're finishing second, Arsenal. They're going to get Champions League football. They're still harbouring title hopes, but they need Manchester City to slip up. They're going to go there, but I think the City ground is going to be a huge weapon for Forest. Been there a couple of times this year. The atmosphere is fantastic, and this is just one of those games where you can just see Forest pulling it off. All the other teams in the bottom 3, the bottom 4, the bottom 5 are all watching this game thinking, need Arsenal to go here, need Arsenal to get a result. And I think Arteta's come out this morning, he said Zinchenko's out for the season, Martinelli's out for the season, there's a couple of them that aren't fit, he's going to have to change his side up a little bit. This is a real big test for Arsenal and Arteta, how he picks his side up from, realistically, losing the title against Brighton, conceding 3 goals at home, losing, and then they've got to go to somebody who's fighting for their life in a ground which is renowned this year. Forest have taken some big scalps there this year, even if they've just got a point. As much as it pains me to say it from a Leeds point of view, I can see Forest getting something. I really can.
What score?
I've gone at least a point for Forest, but I think they'll win. I think Forest will win 1-0.
1-0.
I think Forest will win, yeah.
Right. Well, if that is the case, that then makes 1:30 Sunday live on Sky. West Ham versus Leeds. Absolutely huge for your old club. Now, Leeds at a massive disadvantage here. Just how the fixture list has come out. Obviously, West Ham involved in Europe, but with Everton playing on Saturday, 3 o'clock, and Forest playing at 5:30. So basically, Leeds could go into this game on Sunday knowing they must win to have any chance of avoiding relegation. They could be relegated on Sunday.
They've had the worst of the fixture list, but then you look at Leicester. Leicester have got to go to Newcastle on Monday. So Newcastle need one more win for the Champions League. So Leeds and Leicester have had the rough end of the stick. But I've given all 3 of those teams a win this weekend. I think Leeds will win, I think Forest will win, and I think Everton will win. I think it'll all go down to the last game. We're talking after West Ham's win last night. What a fantastic achievement that is for West Ham.
First European final in 47 years.
Incredible, isn't it? But I mean, you look at West Ham, you look at the season that they've had, all right, they've flirted with relegation in the bottom half of the table. They're safe. They're not mathematically safe, but they are safe. You look at the season they've had, it's arguably better than a lot of clubs. Listen, if they get a European trophy and finish... Because they're going to get the Europa League. We know it's the Europa Conference League. If they win the Europa Conference League...
They're in the Europa League.
They're in the Europa League next year. So West Ham will have a European trophy. They'll be in the Europa League. They've had a better season than probably 85% of that league. And it's you look at the fans halfway through the season and there's unrest about the manager. But I think what Sam Allardyce has said this morning about David Moyes changing the team up a bit. You look at the West Ham team that went to Brentford last week. No Paqueta, no Rice. I think it was 7 changes that he made. I know the Europa Conference League final is at the end of the season.
7th of June.
But also, they're coming off the back of a huge night last night. Listen, the players will have celebrated last night. We're Friday today, Saturday into the game Sunday. I think West Ham will change the team up hugely again, and it'll be a similar outfit to what it was against Brentford last weekend. I'm just hoping from a Leeds point of view that they've overly zealously celebrated, not gone into training today, going to training tomorrow, and then all eyes focusing on the Europa League from a Leeds point of view. I think Leeds can go there and get something, I do.
Obviously, you've been in this position before. Have you just got to try and forget what's gone on the day before and just go and win your game?
Yeah, that's all you can do. I mean,
but it'll have a massive psychological impact if...
Of course it will, yeah.
Everton and Forest both pick up points.
For weeks now, for the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, you've been looking at other teams and been thinking, right, they'll get 3 points there, maybe they'll pick up a point there if we do this, if we do that. Anyone who says they don't look at other teams' results and we take it game by game, complete nonsense, rubbish. The mood in the Leeds camp will be very, very much affected by what's gone on Saturday, but it will drive them on to do. The only effect it will have to drive them on to win the game. It will be a positive effect because if the 2 teams that play Saturday lose, Leeds are right. Come on, we can get ourselves out of this. If they win, it's right, we need to get ourselves out of this. We need to win to do it ourselves. And I think it's, like I say, it's going down to the last game of the season, but I really do think that Leeds can go there. I don't think it'd be pretty against West Ham. It's a big Sam going back to his old club. I think it'll be a lot of set plays, a lot of tactical walking through team shape this week going on. I think he'll go there, he'll upset West Ham. I think it'll be a decent game, actually. I've gone for a 2-1 Leeds win. I think they can go there and get something, Mark. I really do. So
basically, you're predicting Forest, Everton and Leeds.
All to win this weekend, yeah. I think they will.
And then a nervy last day.
The only one that might let me down in all that is Forest at home to Arsenal. That might be a draw, in my prediction, in my world.
It's going to be a big weekend at the bottom of the table. So Paul's going for his old club to win 2-1 at West Ham on Sunday, 1:30. 2 o'clock Sunday, Brighton versus Southampton. Obviously, Brighton will be very disappointed after that 4-1 defeat at Newcastle and being beaten at home by Everton.
By Everton, yeah. 9 goals in those 2 games. But then they go to Arsenal and put on the performance of the season and put 3 past Arsenal. So we've all been waxing lyrical about Brighton, but European football for them is going to be an incredible achievement for them. And I think that they're playing a Southampton side who are literally dead and buried, and they have been for a few weeks. under Ruben Sellers. I think he was like 2 wins out of 11 or something like that before they went down. And they really have gone down with a whimper. I mean, you look at the record here at the side of the league table, drawn, lost. It's just all red losses. I just can't see. I mean, it's a huge local derby, but it's away at their local rivals. And Brentford are going to want to nail this European place down. I can't see anything other than a Brighton win. This is going to be if Southampton get anything, this will ruin a lot of people's accas this weekend.
Yeah. But it does happen now, doesn't it?
It does happen, it does, yeah.
I mean, like you say, performance against Everton at home, and then the performance against Newcastle last night, and then contrast it with that performance at Arsenal. Yeah. Unbelievable.
The thing is with Brighton, they've done so well this year and they play such good football, and they play better. At the risk of going off tangent, Brighton like playing against teams that will be open and expansive against them, and they can break the press. They start with Jason Steele, they come out from the back, and they break the press with 2 or 3 passes. You see some of the big results they've got this year against the bigger sides who come out and are open against them. A team like Everton who will sit deep and defend and make it hard for them, they struggle to break teams down at times. I cannot make an argument for Southampton, I really can't. There's nothing in me that would say, I can't find any reason how Southampton could go to Brighton and win, I really can't.
Interesting start. The Seagulls have only won 4 of their 18 home Premier League matches against sides in the relegation zone. They've drawn 10, lost 4.
And that's why, because they sit in and defend and become hard to beat.
So what score?
4-0, Brighton.
Brighton to bounce back. All right, 4 o'clock Sunday, Man City, Chelsea. They've won the last 3 Premier League games against Chelsea. Chelsea have lost their last 5 meetings in all competitions against Man City without scoring a single goal.
Again, you can't make an argument for me. You look at the way that City played against Real Madrid. Chelsea, the season they're having, I mean, they're sat 11th in the league. I mean, who would have even thought that? The amount of millions that club have spent, the players that they've got. We know that the owners done a little bit of fantasy football, buying his players there and everywhere. The balance to the squad, it's not there's no real balance to the squad. It's just a mass of huge, talented players that seemingly the manager can't really get a tune out of at the moment. Pochettino going in there, I think it's a masterstroke on his behalf. He's given himself a free hit for a year as a Chelsea manager. Chelsea fans that sit in Stamford Bridge this year will tell you it can't get any worse than what they've watched this year. So the style of football is going to play. They're going to change that they play. They're going to bring in a couple of new signings, whether Lukaku fits in or not. Mauricio Pochettino, with that group of players, is not going to finish 11th. So whatever he does next season is an improvement on what he's done this season. So he's got time, he's got a whole pre-season, and he's basically got a whole season before expectation starts. It's Chelsea, there's always going to be expectation. European football, top 4. But he's got no European football next year. He's got no distractions. He's got a hugely talented squad with the promise of more money to come in, buy the players you want, no European football, no distractions, and go and finish higher than 11th. He's got a great opportunity, Pochettino. Rewind the clock back now to the game against Manchester City with a group of players, the mindset that they're in and the way that they're playing. They can't make any argument for him to go and win at City. I mean, City is so close to winning the title. I think they'll put Chelsea to bed quite comfortably.
Prediction?
3-0. I think the City are scoring goals. Yes, they're competing on all fronts. They've got eyes on the Champions League, the FA Cup, but they want this title. Pep's a master of getting his players fit and playing them the right amount of minutes that he wants in their legs for the next game, regardless of what team City put out. 3-0.
And then Monday night, Newcastle and Leicester. Leicester playing again on Monday night.
They were so poor. Watched them against Liverpool last week. The thing was, though, going to the King Power, speaking to the staff, speaking to the supporters. I was there working in a capacity and speaking to the supporters. You talk to them, and the first thing, everyone just seems like resigned to relegation. Before the Liverpool game, there was a huge expectation before the Liverpool game of like togetherness because they were so poor at Fulham. They shipped 5 away at Fulham defensively, which is strange, Leicester. So Dean Smith, former centre-half, John Terry, former centre-half. Yeah. Biggest problem at Leicester, shipping goals. They've not been able to stop the leak. And before the game, the crowd was full, the atmosphere was great. The team started for 20 minutes against Liverpool, front foot, pressed them. Soon as they conceded, it just went. There was no backbone, no spine, no leaders on the pitch. And I was worried for them before that game. And I'm kind of, with the Leicester fans, resigned that they're going. And Newcastle need one more win at home for the Champions League. Yeah. They're going to knock Leicester aside. Yeah, I think Newcastle win it. I think Newcastle will win it. And the results on Saturday and Sunday potentially will relegate Leicester. I think Newcastle will get Champions League and Leicester could be relegated Monday night. I really do.
Right then, to finish then, so Southampton have gone. You think Leicester's going to join them?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to ask you who's going to join the third spot?
I've underlined Southampton and Leicester, and I've stayed well clear of it. But I knew you were going to ask me.
Are you just crossing your fingers?
Listen, if I've given them all three a win, it's going down to the last game of the season. I so want Leeds to get out of it. Forest are away at Palace last game of the season. Leeds at home to Spurs, and Everton, Bournemouth. Leeds have got the trickier fixture, but you don't know what Spurs are going to turn up. I think Leicester are done. Southampton, Leicester. And then, honestly, I think it's between us and Forest. I think Everton will get out of it. I think Everton will get 2 wins. Forest have got a really tough home game against Arsenal, but I fancy them to get something. Maybe that's the pessimistic side of me from a Leeds point of view. It's as much as it pains me to say it, it is between us and Forest who go. I think Everton will get 2 wins.
Try and enjoy the weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. See you next week.